What is CPR? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. What does that mean? On a simple note, it's someone who performs CPR. They are manually pumping blood whose heart has stopped beating. It is called cardiopulmonary because there's a relationship between the heart, cardio, and lungs, pulmonary, and resuscitating a person. Before we dive into CPR, here's some background knowledge you will need to know. Blood is circulated in the body because the heart muscles are contracting. Every time your heart contracts, it pushes blood through the ventricles of the heart and through the body. The flow of the blood is deoxygenated from the body to the right atrium and then is sent to the lungs. The blood is now trading the carbon dioxide that it has received from the body and trading it for oxygen to the left ventricle and then through the aorta artery to the rest of the body. The blood also goes to the coronary artery that is delivered oxygenated blood directly to the heart, muscle, and tissue.
So let's talk about why this is important. What happens when someone dies or has cardiac arrest? Well, their heart starts pumping and they stop breathing. That's why we do CPR, to help them breathe, to help their heart pump, and to try to get them back to life. We want to pump their blood for them. But there's one more important part, and that's the electroactivity of the heart. So what's happening with electroactivity is that the heart is really similar to what we've been learning in class. With CPR, we are concerned about the heart rhythms, and that's a higher up skill that only really paramedics know. We're going to talk briefly about them and more so about what's happening in electricity of the heart rather than you guys learning actual rhythms. But what you guys do need to know is if there's any regular rhythm, that's something we need to know. That's what we use an external defibrillator for, automated external defibrillator, or an AED. So this device pretty much restarts the heart so that it can act and function normally. So this is a really bad analogy, but it helps people understand. So when I have an iPhone and it starts glitching and it's freezing up and we just want it to start acting normal again, we do a hard restart. So you hold the top button and you hold the home button, and then it powers down until you see the Apple symbol, and then the iPhone will turn back on and it's no longer glitching. So we do that to make it function correctly. Well, it's kind of like the same idea with an AED. So what an AED does is it sends electrical pulse through the heart, and it pretty much stops it to have it restart by itself and to be normal again. So an abnormal rhythm would be VTach or VFib, which is pretty much oversynapsing of the nervous system to the heart muscles. So the heart kind of starts to vibrate or glitch. So the AED is going to restart the heart, stopping the glitch, and basically turning off and back on to get it back to normal. The AED sends an electrical current all the way through the heart and shocking the muscles all at one time to get it back to normal.
With compressions and breathing for the patient, what we're doing is maintaining the function of the heart until medical providers or an AED is arrived. An AED is usually found inside of buildings, but without an AED and only compressions, it is impossible for the patient to stay alive. That is why it's important that an AED and compressions are both used.
So now let's look at how to do CPR. First off, you guys need to know how to put your hands and where to put them and know what's going on the patient. So this is Frank. Frank's our dummy today. So what you want to do is find the right place to put your hands when you're going to do compressions. So you want to be right on the nipple line of the patient. So it's usually about 3/4 down the chest. So you find it right there, you put your heel of your hand right on the sternum. Then you put your other hand on top of it and interlink your fingers, and lean over your patient so your shoulders are straight up. That way when you push down, you're using gravity to help you, and you keep your elbows locked. But it's really important to find the location first. So the nipple line is usually a pretty good indication of where you want to be, right in the middle of the chest on the sternum. But if you're too far to the sides, you can hit the ribs. And if you push down on the ribs, you can break the ribs and cause more damage. So on either side, you don't want to go too far. So you want to find right down the middle. But you also don't want to go too low or too high. because if you're pushing up too high, you could break someone's clavicles. And if you're pushing too far low, you could be pushing down the xiphoid process, which is a little bone connected to the cartilage to the sternum. And if you push down there with too much pressure, you could actually break it off and cause more damage than you would have if you were pushing the right spot. So a lot of people think when you're doing CPR, you're breaking bones. But what you're actually doing is disconnecting the cartilages on the sternum to the ribs. And the reason we do that is because the heart's directly underneath the sternum. So when you push down on the sternum in the right spot, you're actually pushing down on the heart itself. And that allows you to actually do CPR. So when doing CPR, it's really important to have a really good beat that you're going to. You need a good rhythm so that you're perfusing blood adequately to the entire body. So our hearts pump blood at a rate of about 60 to 100 beats per minute, normally. So when we're doing CPR, we want to keep a rate of about 100 to 110. So for every compression, that's 1 beat. So you want to do 100 compressions in about 2 minutes. So you have to keep a really good rhythm and keep really good form. So keeping your hands in the right place while also keeping your back straight and your body leaned over, instead of using all your energy pushing on the chest, you can actually use your body weight and have gravity help you. By keeping your arms locked, your elbows locked, you're also reducing the amount of force you need to use and the muscle you need to use. So you're just using your body weight and gravity to help you push down on the patient's chest. So a really good way to keep the right pace with the right form is to think about the song Staying Alive. This song has a perfect beat for CPR. Another fan favorite is Baby Shark. And if you want to be morbid, you can also play Another One Bites the Dust. We don't recommend this though. So the next video you're about to see is what you do right before you do compressions and CPR. It's really important to know how to know if someone's actually unconscious and actually going in cardiac arrest. So let's say we're walking around Walmart and we see someone just laying down in the freezer section. It's really important to go up to them, shake their chest, tap on them, make sure they're not going to respond to you.
Hello?
You want to then tilt their head back as you see Bianca do and put your cheek to their face, look down their chest. That way you can feel if they're breathing on your cheek. And you can also look for chest rise and fall. And you want to put your fingers on their carotid pulse, right, which is right below their jaw, right below their mandible. So by doing that, you can feel pulse and figure out if they're breathing or not, because they didn't respond to you when you shook them. So you want to count for 10 seconds. Now, if they don't respond and you don't feel pulse and you don't see breathing, you're going to want to tell somebody to call 911 and tell someone to go get an AED. But you don't want to go, hey, someone go get an AED and someone call 911. Because when you do that, no one's going to do it, because everyone's going to look around at each other and think that someone else is going to do it. So you want to make sure you point to somebody like Bianca does.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's not breathing. You call 911. You get an AED. I'm going to start compressions.
So with the AED that I bring onto the scene, you want to make sure the first thing you do is turn it on. Then you want to apply the pads and then plug the pads into the AED. The reason for this is that as soon as you plug the pads into the AED, they're going to start analyzing. They're going to analyze the rhythm of your heart because you're touching the pads rather than the rhythm of the patient. So as soon as AED says analyzing, you want to make sure your partner or you aren't touching the patient. That way the AED can read the rhythm of the heart of the person who needs to get shocked. So when the AED says to do not touch the patient, you need to make sure no one's touching them, even people around you. So it's going to analyze the patient for probably about a minute, and then it's going to advise you to shock or not to shock. As we discussed earlier, it can only shock 2 rhythms. Paramedics and medical providers can shock multiple other things, but an AED that you'll ever have your hands on can only shock for 2 different things.
So what's the difference between adult CPR and child CPR is that usually a child needs CPR when it's going under cardiac arrest. This is due to a problem in the respiratory system. Usually children don't have heart problems. It's usually caused by swallowing a Lego or even falling into a pool.
So what happens when a child goes into cardiac arrest? It's usually because they have a respiratory problem, like Bianca said. Well, Enrique here swallowed a Lego, and he's no longer crying, he can't breathe. So we have to do something where we get the Lego out of his respiratory tract to help him breathe again. Because otherwise, if you're not going to breathe, you're eventually going into cardiac arrest. And that's the biggest thing with children. So if he stops breathing, you want to place your fingers like this around his mouth, put your arm there. So that way you put your arm on your leg, that way you have stability. And you have to do back slaps on the baby. Now, you have to hit the baby hard. I know that sounds really bad, but we have to get the Lego or whatever's obstructing his airway out of his esophagus. So we have to hit the baby in the back 5 times. And you take your hand, put your arm kind of like the bottom one, and you roll them. You have to support the head at all times. And use your knee to support your leg. Now you got to do compressions on the top, 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make the V around his mouth, and roll him again. Put your arm on your leg to have stability, and 5 back slaps again. You're going to do this until the baby either goes limp, like he is now, or he starts to cry. Because if he's crying, that means he's able to breathe. But if he goes limp, you want to take the baby, remember to hold his head, roll him over, and then put him on the ground. And start CPR and compressions again.
Hello? Baby? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's not breathing. You call 911. You get an AED. I'm going to start compressions.
Hey, I have an AED. I know how to use it.
Apply pads to patient's bare chest. Plug in pad connector next to flashing light. Analyzing.
Don't touch this analyzing.
Do not touch the patient. Shock advised. Charging.
Don't touch it because it's charging.
Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now.
Alright, clear. Don't touch.
Button now. Shock delivered.
Alright, continue CPR.
Begin CPR.